So today we are going to be ranking every Treyarch COD Zombies game from hardest to easiest. This is going to be based on one thing, which is gameplay, as while Zombies has other elements which may or may not be easier or harder than other games such as Easter eggs. Focusing on this one main thing should mean this video is somewhat consistent, and as always, this is in my opinion, and I did want to include other COD Studios Zombies modes, such as Infinite Warfare or Advanced Warfare Zombies. However, I just haven't played them enough to give you an honest opinion. But getting straight into it then, without a doubt the hardest COD Zombies game we have is World at War. I think one of the main reasons for this is it was the first Zombies mode we had, which meant because it was only ever intended to be a bonus game mode, none of the mechanics were smoothed out. The game compared to a lot of others was clunky, perks were limited or didn't even exist in the first map, Nacht der Untoten. It was the bare bones of Zombies, meaning all of the crutches that we have nowadays just weren't around for us to use. There was no pack-a-punch machine up until the final map, Der Riese, meaning by round 15 your guns were already pretty weak. There were only 4 perks, which were Double Tap, Juggernog, Quick Revive and Speed Cola, and while I do think all of them are enough, Stamina Up wasn't really needed because this game's maps were so small. You can go without Deadshot. You can see the whole experience was limited. And if you haven't played this game, this applies to Black Ops 1 and 2 as well. It was a 2-hit down system, and I don't think you quite understand how punishing this was. Because the zombies could hit you so quickly, it was actually coined windmilling, where you would get hit once and then out of nowhere you would just get hit again straight away and you were down. Most of the time it wasn't even your fault. It felt like it was a bug, but it wasn't. That was just how aggressive the zombies were. When you combine that with the small 3 or 4 areas of Nacht der Untoten, or the tight corridors of Verrückt, or the mud and water that slows you down in Shi No Numa, Der Riese was actually an easy map, especially if you stood on the catwalk. To be fair, World at War Shi No Numa holds some of the highest rounds ever for zombies, because each round only had a maximum of 24 zombies. That might sound easy, but when they turn into super sprinters, it's not. Especially for the general player. Training was rigid, the zombies would leave the pattern and just veer off to the left or right, which if you were doing a circle could surprise you. And I haven't played World at War for high rounds in such a long time, I'm assuming these were fixed, but the mode had so many bugs. World at War just wasn't optimized for the zombies mode. It was made up of multiplayer and campaign assets, which just made it very sticky and unforgiving. When I put it that way, it's surprising that Zombies took off like it did, right? Because it was very hard. How did it become so successful if this is what people were introduced to? All of my friends would struggle to make it past round 20. You would think soon enough they'd give up, but no, they wanted more. Yeah, Der Riese is the exception on this game, but the first 3 maps, Nacht, Verrückt and Shi No Numa, are some of the hardest you will ever play. Moving on then, the second hardest zombies we have ever had, or I should say the 9th easiest, is Black Ops 1. The game after. With this game now becoming a staple, Treyarch could finally begin to optimize it and smooth out some of those jagged features. They introduced loads of new perks, Stamina Up, PhD Flopper, Deadshot Daiquiri and Mule Kick. You could now auto aim in on the head, obtain 3 weapons, run faster, and that was important because the maps were bigger as well. Even though I've seen Kino der Toten have some of the highest rounds, to me Ascension was the easiest. It had the biggest areas where you could train zombies, and this was where the term training was really coined. Although back in 2010 it was called something else. I'm not gonna, we can't call it that anymore, guys. Crazy times, but yeah, the biggest difference was the size of the maps. You could now run around in big figures of 8 and not have to worry about a zombie coming at you from a window to your left or right and behind, and the wonder weapons they introduced started to get crazier and more powerful. The Thunder Gun being the best and actually still being one of the best to this day. Yes, World at War had the Wunderwaffe, which was an infinite damage weapon, but could only kill a certain amount of zombies with 1 shot. However, the Thunder Gun was the ultimate clutch. If you ever got trapped up a corner, which was so easy to do, simply fire a shot of the Thunder Gun at any zombies in front of you, and they would all be pushed out of the way. If you were careful, it was almost impossible to get cornered now. But the 2-hit down system, which turned into a 4-hit down system if you had Juggernog, was still pretty unforgiving. Zombies move so quick and smooth nowadays, you can mantle over objects, quickly slide out of the way, but back then it was a lot slower. The main difference between this and World at War was the map size. Bigger maps just made avoiding the zombies easier. All of the maps had the Pack-a-Punch machine, so your weapons were more powerful, alongside the introduction of more perks and clutch wonder weapons. The next least hardest zombies game, coincidentally, was the game after, Black Ops 2. This was the final one that had the 2-hit down system. Honestly, there's not much difference in difficulty here between this and Black Ops 1. In fact, you could probably put this over BO1 because the maps are probably more difficult. With the release of Transit and Nuketown on day one, compared to Black Ops 1's Kino, Nuketown was tiny, it reminded me of a real classic World at War map, and Transit was this brand new, not open world experience, but it was huge, that required you to get used to new mechanics, using a bus to take you from location to location. If you missed that bus, you were stuck in a certain area, unless you wanted to run through the fog, which was always risky. The Pack-a-Punch system on Transit solo was total bullshit. In the end, I just got annoyed of even trying to keep constantly papping on that map. And with the wonder weapon, the jet gun, being so terrible, Transit was hard, man. And then the DLC maps were Die Rise, Mob of the Dead, Buried, and Origins. Well, Die Rise, you could die by falling. Mob of the Dead, a fantastic map with, to be fair, a load of buildables that could aid you. Good wonder weapon variants. Mob wasn't hard if you knew how to play it. It's the same with Buried and Origins to a lesser extent, but I'm thinking for the average player, these maps were no easier than BO1. But it did introduce Double Tap 2.0, which compared to Double Tap 1.0, which only increased your gun's fire rate, Black Ops 2's version of it made it so that every one bullet you fired actually accounted for 2, increasing your damage output per bullet compared to just firing quicker. You were actually now doing double damage. And as I've just mentioned with Mob of the Dead Blundergat, the other map's wonder weapons, the Sliquifier, pre-patch, yeah, you're never dying if you use that and use the right strategy. Amazing, still good after the patch. The Paralyzer, again, if you know how to use it properly and you know the right spots, you can survive forever. And the staffs on Origins are a pain to upgrade, but really powerful. So the biggest difference here compared to the past games is you could now do double damage, allowing you to kill the zombies quicker, and the variety of wonder weapons were just better. Even though I think the average map is probably just as hard, that alongside the ability for you to now build a shield and put it on your back, mitigating damage, there is no doubt in my mind the overall gameplay is twice as easy. But that doesn't mean Black Ops 2 was an easy game. It wasn't. What was slightly easier though was Black Ops 4 Zombies. Now, when I originally made this list, I put Black Ops 3 here, but I switched that because Black Ops 4's maps are just way harder. Blood of the Dead and Classified on day one alongside 9. Okay, 9 was easy, but Voyage of Despair, that wasn't. And then the DLC, Dead of the Night, Ancient Evil, Alpha Omega, and Tag the Totem. There's a couple of exceptions in there, but a lot of the maps on this game are difficult because of how tight they are, taking me back to those days in World at War. They're just a lot bigger, but have a lot of tight areas. Also, another big change Treyarch made to this game was to the health system. Even though you now had 200 health, meaning you could take 4 hits from these zombies without Juggernog compared to 2, Juggernog, for the first time ever, was removed from the game. Don't even ask me why. Maybe because it was a crutch perk, one that you always had to buy, so Treyarch just thought they'd remove it. Anyway, what they did instead was change the amount of health you had. And because Black Ops 4 had different difficulty levels, casual, normal, hardcore, and realistic, I mean, depending on which one you play would depend on how hard your game is, so it's not quite fair to judge. If I'm judging it on realistic only, then this is probably the hardest zombies there is, and if I'm judging it off casual, it's easier, so it would be fair to judge it off the normal mode, which gives you 200 health, allowing you to take 4 hits. When you compare that to Black Ops 2, which allowed you to take 2 without Jug, but an extra 2 with Jug, meaning 4, this game was no less forgiving. When you also take into consideration that they changed the perk system as well, it got to a point for me where I didn't even feel like I necessarily had to buy perks, whereas in the old games, Double Tap, Stamina Up, Quick Revive were classics and felt like they were a necessity. The perk system in BO4 was horrible. You could now pick which perk you wanted and assign it to one of the 4 machines in the game, but this also meant when you're now in a game itself, you're limited to the 4 you chose beforehand. Instead of having choices mid-game, if you ever went down, you could say, okay, that didn't work for me, I'm going to try a different perk. But in Black Ops 4, you couldn't do that, unless you ended and changed them at the main menu. On the other hand, we did now have specialist weapons, which was basically like having a wonder weapon on you at all times. So if you did get cornered, or you were about to go down, just bring out your specialist weapon, and you're guaranteed to survive if you were quick enough. But I would say the changes to the health and the perk system and the removal of Jug was not fun. Next on the list is Black Ops 3 Zombies. This game has everything the past ones did, including the classic perk system, and a lot of the normal crutches, great wonder weapons, specialists, although they actually weren't that good. But what made it easier was this was the first time Treyarch upped the regular health from a 2-hit down system to a 3-hit. It might sound like a small change, but if you'd gone from Black Ops 2 to Black Ops 3, it was a huge difference. You would now no longer go down just by getting double swiped by one zombie. But also, I feel this was the first time the game had drastically changed when it just came to the general feel of it. The game was a lot smoother, with the ability to now slide around, you could quickly maneuver, and the maps were easy enough to play. One thing I did notice is the zombies in Black Ops 3 feel just as aggressive as they did back in World at War. In fact, when I played the Black Ops 1 version of Kino and the Black Ops 3 version of Kino, I don't know why, but Black Ops 3's feels just as hard. The zombies feel more aggressive. I don't know if that's statistically true or not. Actually, watching this footage now, I would say the zombies AI is 100% more aggressive, but that does make up for having the 3-hit down system. It meant you could now take a total of 5 hits with Juggernog. Yeah, it's a real strange one because Black Ops 3 for me is my favourite because I felt like, for the first time, it was all about real strategy. There were no stupid 2-hit down double swipe mechanics. It was all about you, the player, and your skill. It also gave us the Gobblegum systems, which meant a perkaholic would now give you all of the perks on round 1, and there was so many crutch ones that you could use to get you out of sticky situations, alongside you now being able to add ammo mods to your pack-a-punched weapon. Yeah, there's just no way this can be harder than the past games because of the Gobblegums, and also because this is the last game on the list before armor was introduced. It can't go any lower either. This has to be the perfect placement. However, the rest on this list, honestly, there's not much difference between them. Now, Modern Warfare 3, of course, is a Treyarch Zombies experience, but it's totally different to round-based zombies. It is this big open world map that has different tiers of difficulty, so where do you put it? If you're in tier 1, this is the easiest zombies there is. If you're in tier 3, this is probably the hardest zombies there is. I don't think it's fair to put it on this list because the mechanics of it work totally different to any other Treyarch Zombies game, but we can rank the rest. I would say Vanguard Zombies is the next easiest. Honestly though, all of the rest are really easy. The main reason for that is armor. I don't know the exact number, but it now feels like you can take 10 plus hits in a game of zombies, going from 5 to 10 or more when you've got 3 armor plates. Yeah, there's no comparison here with difficulty for modern zombies, but I will just place Vanguard Zombies here, mainly because of the maps. Duran Fang, Shinonuma came back, Terra Maledicta and its carbon copy. They're not the easiest of modern zombies maps. Next on my list is Cold War. Again, this game has the armor system, but it also has upgradable perks. So, for example, before you would just buy Juggernog and that was it, you would get double health. But now there were 5 different upgrade tiers to Juggernog, which would range from increasing armor durability by 25%, or instead of getting down by a lethal hit, your armor would be depleted and your health would be reduced to 1. It would also replenish 25% additional armor and, like normal, increase your health by 100. So you can see by this, and because, unlike Black Ops 7 or Black Ops 6, you could have all of these upgrades at the same time. This game's so easy. It doesn't matter what map it is. Die Maschine, Mal der Toten, Forsaken, there is not a single difficult experience here if you're just half good at the game. And what probably makes the biggest difference is you could now mantle over objects. In older zombies, it was really easy to get stuck against something. If there was a car behind you or in front, and then zombies to the other side of you, you were screwed. But now if you were in that situation, you just climb on top of whatever's blocking you and you're out. Yeah, but I found Black Ops 6 to be even easier because of the augments. Now, what's different between the augments and Cold War's upgradable perks is in Cold War you could have all of the upgrades, whereas in Black Ops 6 you had to choose which upgrades you wanted. You would think that would make Cold War easier. However, a lot of the augments to choose from in BO6, well, there was no choice to be made. There was always 1 or 2 that were really good, and it didn't really matter which one you chose because the gameplay was so easy. With how fast you can move with stamina up, how quickly you can slide out of the way with PhD, and your ability to mantle over everything, combined with you being able to pack-a-punch your weapon to level 3 and get gold rarities. You could do that in Cold War as well, by the way. I'm really struggling to decide which is more difficult, and I'm just going off instinct here, and maybe this is more recency bias. BO6 feels a little bit more refined than Cold War, and Treyarch brought Gobblegums back to Black Ops 6. That in itself makes this already easy game, slightly easier than what Cold War was to play. But there's no difficulty difference between them, to be honest, and that brings us to the latest game, Black Ops 7, which for me is the easiest zombies to date. When I play Farm Survival in BO7 and then when I play Farm Survival in Black Ops 2, BO2's Farm was so difficult. I'm not a great zombies player, by the way, but Black Ops 7's Farm is so easy. My first game ever, I reached round 50. There is not a chance in hell I would ever do that pre-Black Ops 4. Difficulty wise, there's almost no difference between Cold War, Black Ops 7 and Black Ops 6. And again, maybe it's recency bias, and perhaps because I'm used to this new modern system now, I just know how to play it. I genuinely struggled to go down. I will give you one change they made. Turtle Shell in Black Ops 7 actually works the same way the shields did now. In Black Ops 6, it was bad because it meant you would take no hits from your health from the back, but armor wouldn't work from the front. Turtle Shell was pretty crap in that game, but in Black Ops 7 it's amazing. You are now playing an already easy game with a shield on your back as well. I feel bad for the second portion of the video because I genuinely can't find anything substantial that differentiates these games in terms of difficulty. This modern era, Vanguard, Cold War, Black Ops 6 and Black Ops 7 all have something that make them just as easy or difficult as one another, whether that be the maps, the wonder weapons, slight changes to the gameplay and perks, but they are all consistently just as easy to play. To me. Maybe to you though, that's not the case. You will have to let me know in the comment section below. But that is every Treyarch Zombies game ranked from hardest to easiest. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. As always, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you have, drop a like rating. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with latest content on the channel, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.